Hey, welcome back to Deliberate Wactus. This is Kurai doing another review today, though we just did one. We're going to be looking at Xander versus Stug in a first 210 in Sword and Board. I have not seen this yet. It looks like it's fairly short, well, shortish. 8.5 minutes for Sword and Board is, that's that's all right. Stug is a fairly new-ish player who's only been playing for, I want to say, 2 to 3 years out in Virginia, West Virginia, the west, East Coast. And then Xander, I know, has been around for a minute. Is a knight in Bell. Gotten to fight him once. He's a tall fella, very athletic. So is Stug. So it'll be interesting to see. The camera is a little far away, but it is nice and stable, so hopefully we'll get to see some cool things here. So, really like this testing. Stug throwing a lot of good double ups there, just in case maybe I think Xander sneaks his arm out. And the cool thing is Xander isn't just immediately coming out and throwing over the top like a lot of taller fighters against shorter opponents will. He's mixing it up, testing a lot of different areas. Just testing that sword side. Getting into some crossing. Okay, so we get an exchange here as they close hard, and Xander's able to pull out and get the leg. Just kind of testing dark side without any real setup. Not much of a real threat, unfortunately. Stug is doing a good job at throwing at that sword side. Gets caught on the board side leg. That's live. He's doing a lot of throwing at that board side, at the sword, or not the board side, at the sword side hand. The high shoulder quadrant, and it's doing an okay job of locking Xander down. I think he needs to draw Xander out a little bit there. Yeah. Gets caught in a high cross trade that does not work out for him. Arm versus body. So Xander up 2 currently. All right, let's see how he's able to adjust and adapt. Nothing there yet. What do we got here? Okay. And then I want to see one more time. Sorry, not to wind this back too much, but so Stug opens up with a dark side, and then has really opened himself up. Xander hits that the high cross and the follow up to the shield side arm, shield side back. Interesting thing to note as well, I was looking at, and that's why I missed it the first time, is just how close Stug's elbow is to the back of his board when he's squared up. That's really, really close. And I'd be a little concerned about getting caught there. I think that's a possible area that people can exploit on him. Okay, so Xander's up 3, and I'm willing to bet we're going to start seeing some more pressure. Yep. Some more pressure and some more exploitation of the context now that Xander's got a few kills on. Okay. Creates distance, keeps his sword out. Silent, yep. Stug got a little too eager to step in there and got caught in a trade. Okay, looks like he's trying to maybe gather himself a little bit. Right on. Staying calm is important in these kind of situations. He catches a stab as the stab slides a little bit, and he doesn't have a good punish. So one of the things here that I think Stug is maybe not quite remember. I think he's not fighting his opponent in this case. He's not fighting the person that he's actually fighting against. He's just kind of fighting whoever, right? Because Xander does have that corner on his shield, he's got that low drop, that extra tip on the bottom. Hitting that hip, hitting this shield side shoulder is going to be a little bit harder. Okay, good take, good take. He threw a number of shots in. The second one got through onto the arm, and Xander blocked the dead arm, so he's dead there. Okay. And a lot of it here, it feels like Stug is not utilizing good lateral movement here, right? He's not getting off that center line. He's not fighting Xander where he's potentially weaker by trying to get away from those blocked off shield side quadrants. Okay, 5-2. They're just talking it out here, so we're gonna skip forward just a touch. It's good etiquette, good stuff. Always talk it out. Okay, Xander's starting to come in and test more, and I do like the fact that Xander's been trying out different quadrants here, threatening. Now he's got the half heater situation going, so he's pretty safe on some of these shots where he can do a little bit more, where Stug might be a little exposed because of the round shield shape. And that's another situation where Stug keeps throwing these dark sides without any sort of setup, and he's not getting anything off of them. Okay. Yep, caught reaching. And it's hard when you're the shorter fighter in a high cross war. Yeah. Stug. I'm hoping that when you watch this, you'll kind of see it as well. I would recommend that if you're going to dark side, you really need to start building some type of setup into it, whether that's a flat cross fake into the dark side to get them to raise their hand, because it looks like Xander really likes to punish you for the dark side. If you can start throwing off a flat cross fake, just get your hand out in front of the board enough where he starts to raise his hand, starts to get ready to punish you for it, and then step to your left as you dark side underneath and catch him in the side or in the arm or the armpit, and hopefully punish him for trying to be reactive. You might get some stuff. You might get some benefit here. You really need to be exploring other options as well. You're not. I don't think I've seen you throw to. I don't think I've seen Stug throw to Xander's sword side hip at all. Not even any sort of testing shots. Nothing safe there. Anything to the sword side has really been that either the dark side, which is kind of coming as a flat cross from underneath the shield. Okay, I like that. A little bit more setup or just like a slightly different motion might be beneficial here, but you know what? You're getting variety, and I like that. Okay. And so a lot of what we're seeing here, I think, is perhaps a lack of idea on how to deal with that shield shape. Looking at the hip and the shoulder being cut off by the corners, it might be a little bit intimidating to try and get around that. The problem is if you neglect to work for those, if you neglect to attack them at all, then you basically give your opponent free rein to just ignore anything you do on that side and focus all of their guard to their open side, their sword side. And it simplifies the fight for them a lot. You really want to keep every option open. And so I think that's kind of what you're not doing here, that Xander's doing a lot more of. If you look at the variety of quadrants that Xander's threatening, he's threatening high. I would imagine he's probably going to threaten low here in a minute, just judging by kind of like the shifts in his posture and the patterns that he's been working. Yep, throws that sword side hip. Yep. Okay, so yeah, the real takeaway here, Xander does a really good job of threatening in a lot of different ways, of using what you are giving him by punishing your dark sides where you're getting a little too open, and kind of the tempo that you throw in being very repetitive, very very much the same. It's very standard. So what I'd really, really love to see you do is to start working in options where you have these really good. I mean, let's go back to the beginning just because that's got some of the best situations here, right? So you start hammering the sword side, the hand at the top of the shield, and you'll throw 2 or 3 shots, and pop pop in, and you throw 2 rapid fire or 3 rapid fire, and I'd love to see you start to throw 2, stutter, or like do a half beat, and then throw a third somewhere else, right? Or pair it with some type of offside step. I know Nip's going to be working with you on that kind of thing, right? And especially, let's go back a little bit, because I think that would okay. So this is a great opportunity right here, right? So let's do this right here. Okay. You close, you get him to tie up. You throw cross, you throw board side shoulder. Now that board side shoulder is really far away, right? But man, look at where his weight is. His knees are really bent. He's really far forward. And you're up. You're in a more athletic position, right? Oh, what the hell happened here? Oh. And judging by the sound of it, you may have, clipped him in the face or something like that. Whatever. We can work with that. That's not going to be every time. So pop, pop. He throws again. And again, look at where he is, right? He's got all this reach going on. The hip is just, it's right there. It's juicy. He's recovered out of his deep position, but his balance is still compromised, right? And because of the way that his board is shaped or strapped, there's only so far he can go over. You caught this block. You exited out, right? You went back. Don't just bail out. Put your foot down here. Left foot, small step this way, right? And throw that money that I know you know how to throw. And light up that hip. If you can start working in these little stutters off of 1 or 2 shots, because it's clear he knows your tempo. It's clear he understands what to expect from you in terms of timing. All right, so pop, pop. Your timing is extremely consistent, the tempo in which you throw your shots. So I would really, really love to see you turn that into something else, right? Getting him tied up high, and then punishing that hip, right? Yeah. So I'm not going to just rewatch through all of this again. Take the time to work on catching yourself in the middle of those moments where you're panicking, you're maybe throwing those dump shots, right? Or when you're starting to throw that cross to board side setup that you have here, pop, pop. Because you throw that nice and tight. It's really safe. Keep the pressure on. Force him to make a decision. Take those half beats following that, right? Where he's maybe thinking about where he's going to throw. And while he's thinking about it, catch him, hit him, punish him, do something. Overall, I like the fact that you caught yourself a couple times, maybe getting out of the right headspace, and you kind of shifted back into that. And I like that you stayed, in the fight. You pushed yourself here to be a little more consistent with your performance and make sure that you were not just letting it all fall apart when you got frustrated, right? So really take this opportunity, look back at your habits and your patterns, the way that you throw your dark side and the way that you recover your dark side specifically, and how open that leaves you. Go practice that in front of a mirror, I would even recommend, and just practice clearing your arm back out in a way that doesn't leave your shield open or your chest exposed. Work on those stutters where you hit, maybe once or twice, and then pump your hand or shift your shoulders, do something that indicates a different shot, and watch how your opponents start to open up and fall apart as you start to get your hooks in, right? because context is going to be key in your fights. These people have been doing this a long time that you're fighting. Nip, Xander, a lot of those guys out in the CG, they know their stuff. They have a lot of experience that you don't. So they've seen a ton of stuff that you haven't, and they've seen the kind of things that you do. Right now, that's working against you. But you can, if you start mixing in these little timing mix-ups, these little body fakes, really start to exploit their own knowledge against them and use that meta that they've developed, or that understanding of the meta that they've developed, to create your own victories. So that would be my takeaway for you. I'm hoping that that was helpful in some way. Thank you for sending me this. This has been Kurai with Deliberate Wactus. I will see you guys next time.